Good morning, Unity Village Chapel, and welcome to this Sacred Sunday together. We are on week 3 of our journey in Adventures in Spirituality, where we're studying the book by Rachel Macy Stafford, Hands-Free Life. If you haven't checked out this book, it's a fabulous book about relationships and about creating a meaningful life, releasing distractions, and diving into each present moment. So I invite you to pick it up, and if you have missed the last couple of Sundays, you can find them online. We have them both on YouTube and posted on the unityvillagechapel.org website. And if you're going to purchase the book or anything this holiday season, I personally, from my heart to yours, ask you to consider, if you use Amazon to purchase things online, to go to Amazon Smile, where you can pick a charity, you can pick a nonprofit that they will contribute then a kickback for every purchase you make. Anything you make, they'll kick back an amount to Unity Village Chapel. So it's a creative way to support your spiritual community. So grab the book if you have it. Get ready. We have a few fun things. You might notice we've played the ukulele here and there, and some songs that are in the book and events that are in the book we're recreating here Sunday morning. It's a delight to gather together with you in consciousness. So I don't think you'll need the tissues today, but you might have them close by. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, snuggle in. It's great to be with you on this sacred Sunday. Namaste. Are you ready to live more in the moment? Do you believe that living in the moment can create peace in your life and peace in your mind? It's kind of counterintuitive if you think about it, right? We're taught that if we live out of this moment and plan for the next, if we rigorously dive into our past and our history, tear it apart, rip it up, get our therapy, or send out our hate letters, whatever it is. If we do all that, then somehow I won't create it in the future. Or if somehow I could control the future enough, manipulate everything enough so that nothing bad is going to happen, or so that it's going to be what I want, it's going to be that vision I'm attached to, then I can be easy breezy, peaceful, and I can actually then start living in the moment and enjoying that moment that, friends, is never going to happen, is it? Never going to happen if we are constantly jumping out of this moment. So it's counterintuitive, but diving deeply, purely, completely, unapologetically, wildly, vigorously into this moment is the key that is sometimes left hanging beside the door we think is locked. So we are on the 3rd week of our Adventures in Spirituality. And if you haven't been here for the first 2, no worries. You will hop right in and you're missing nothing, because this is your divine appointment day. And maybe take a little time in meditation after the service to think, why was my day that day? Why was my day the day when they talked about take the pressure off? And you can check out the videos of the last couple of Sundays online. So we've had 2 so far. But we are studying the book every fall. We do a book series, and we're studying the book Hands-Free Life by Rachel Macy Stafford. And it's 9 habits for overcoming distraction, living better, and loving more. And loving more. So I've heard people that are grandparents say that being a grandparent is one of just the best things on the planet. That there is just nothing like being a grandparent. And as I've inquired into this, because anytime we find something that is bliss on earth, that is heaven on earth, that brings that heaven consciousness here in a way that we're so aware of it, there's questions to be asked. So I ask those questions. And what it seems to be that I've found out is one of the keys is that when you're a grandparent, you're living and you took the pressure off. The pressure that a parent has doing it the first time, or the second or the third or the 5th or the 20th, depending on who you are. But that pressure is relieved, The pressure to what? To be perfect, to be good enough, to do it right, not to mess up. Once you get to that space in consciousness and in life experience that you recognize, oh, it wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. The pressure's off, right? And something happens when the pressure's off. When the pressure's off, you get to dive into the moment. So the second thing that people have shared with me is that they're just really present. They're really present. So rather than all of the times when you could be stuck in the commotion, stuck in the distraction, sitting at lunch or dinner or wherever you are with your young one and on your tablet or on your cell phone while they're like experiencing the miracles of life, looking around at the walls, tasting their food, and we're in another state, right? Or when we, okay, yeah, I hear that, but we got to get you to school, or we got to get you to this or to that. We got to, put you in the little van and drop you off somewhere. Instead, the grandparent is just like absorbed in each moment as it is, right? Just savoring it. And the pressure's off. And another thing happens when you dive into that realm. When the pressure's off and when you're living in the moment, something beautiful emerges. And that's that ordinary moments become extraordinary. Ordinary moments become extraordinary. Can you feel that? Because we all know it. We all know that feeling in life. Sometimes it happens when someone we love or ourselves gets a diagnosis. Sometimes it happens when everything falls apart. Sometimes it happens when we win the spiritual or emotional lottery. Sometimes it happens when we're in the bliss of a new relationship. Whatever it is, it happens to all of us at times where all of a sudden everything stops and we're like, something right in front of my face. The master teacher, Jesus, the awakened one, the consciousness available to each one of us. As the master teacher walked, I believe this is what he taught. I believe that his teachings of love and inclusiveness and of I and the source are one, I and the Father are one, was the teaching to remind people that heaven is here now, heaven is on earth. It's right in the midst of us. Don't go, spreading here and there. It's right here. Keep looking. It's right here. It's in front of you. It's right in front of your eyes. It's closer than you could touch. Even if you breathe, it's closer than that. It's written on your heart. In truth, you don't need a religion. You don't need a spiritual teacher. You don't need a guru. You don't need a self-help book. You don't need a police officer of your mind to get there. You just need to take the pressure off. Live in the moment and open up to the possibility that the extraordinary life you're looking for is looking right at you. I had some of those moments this last week. I had a conference workshop retreat thing, and it was incredible. It was incredible, and one of the things that was incredible is that nothing happened. And for a lot of people in the workshop, that was a problem. Because, you go to something and you think, I'm going to get something out of this. I want to get a lot out of this. And we have all these expectations, right? There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of thinking about, not in this moment, how am I, but at the end of this, am I going to be someone different? Am I ever going to have gotten something? Am I going to be awakened, enlightened, inspired, right? And then you get to the dullness of an ordinary moment where it's like, really? This is it? I paid for this? I came all the way here for this? But there were two beautiful facilitators, Matt Licata and Jeff Foster. And the practice is on being in the moment and being with that and demonstrating that, modeling that, so we can see how that takes our lives and takes us out of our lives. That we argue with each moment. We have a battle, in fact, with each moment, often calling it not enough, or put whatever label you generally like to put, whatever your addiction of the moment is that you like to do to separate yourself from either this moment or either, what's going on internally. And it was like being present with what is, being present with the disappointments, being present with the excitement. And so it was a masterfully delivered week of slowing down in inviting us to stop the violence against ourselves and stop the violence against this moment and stop the violence against the world around us and to fully become intimate with our humanity and our divinity. And then, not too far away, there was a little day trip that I took to Vermont, and it just happened to be that the universe was conspiring in my favor. And you know how when leaves change, there are like a couple of days, and no one can really plan it. Like you can't really plan a trip around it because you never know exactly when it's going to hit. But there are a few days where the leaves are just perfect, where you're there at the height of it, at the crescendo of the song, right? And so just an hour away, just a hop, skip, and a jump of a drive, and there were the gorgeous mountains of Vermont. And all the leaves in their glory were changing colors. There were reds, there were oranges. And I was like a child. Like I really was like a child. Like snapping way too many photos to go anywhere for anyone to think you're sane or normal. Like, and then here again, and then here again, and then here again, and then here again. And then just staring and gazing, and then trying to go a little bit farther, and just being stopped by the fullness of it, and giddy like a child, and screaming and laughing. And, who would think that nature, that source, could do that to you? In fact, it's the only thing that can. Right? In fact, it's the only thing that can. But we sometimes become so consumed by stress, by distraction, and by pressure that we forget those moments. I have a beloved friend who has a son who is in 4th grade, and I think people do a lot of reflections when, children are just relationships, right? They're relationships, and they're our most intimate sometimes relationships. But so her son, and I know parents a lot of times and grandparents look at, like, what are the things that were really hard for me, and then, when they see them and their kids, they're like, how do I help them with that? Because I know what that's done to me. That need to complete things, or that need to, whatever it is, those drives that we see, right? And we're like, how can we help them not stumble in the ways that I've stumbled? So her son was going to his little league or his practices, his games, and he gets so upset when they didn't win, like so just frustrated, angry, sad, and carries it around with him. Carries it around that he's just moody little stinker. She has other fun ways of describing it, but. She called me, and she's like, what could I do for him, Erin? Like, we need to think of something, because, I don't want him to waste time not seeing the beauty of the moments because of some goal or idea or expectation of something. And so, I turned up my thinking for a second, and the best thing I could come up with was, why don't you tell him that the games aren't about winning? It's like, how much do you laugh during it? How many friendships do you make? How much fun do you have with your buddies or your friends in it? And that actually is the defining piece of success, that people play these all the time, and they win and they lose, but it's actually not about that. Even though that's the seeming goal, it's not about that. It's about, like, how much fun do you have? Which, it was like, well, recreate that for my 4th grader. That conversation. But a very good conversation, no? Because who defined your measure of success? Can you remember? Who gave you the answer to what does success mean to me? Who gave it to you about relationships? Who gave it to you about friendships? Who gave it to you about work life, spiritual life, emotional life, money life? Fill in the blank. Who gave you your definition of success? Because if any of those fields have anyone else in there but you and your source, you've sold yourself short. Amen? And we all have other records playing that belong to someone else, or that belong to the culture or the society that we live in or the world that we have to interact with. And that's fine. We don't have to make that wrong. But when we're not aware of it, we can live our lives out of the moment trying to have someone else's idea of success and then getting to the crescendo and realize, I don't even like that color. Why am I wearing it? It's always funny to me. It's so funny to me. I mean, I understand the concept because at restaurants, people do, they kind of know what's good and bad on a menu. Like they know, well, everyone that gets this thinks it's bad. So I get the concept of asking. But I also don't at all get the concept of asking your waiter or waitress, what should I get? What's good? What do you like? It's like, really? Because they have different taste buds than us, right? They have a different digestive system. They ate different things the day before and the day after. It makes absolutely no sense in the world, except for the whole thing of if the soup's rotten, or something like that. Like, everyone sends this one back. But we do that, don't we? We do that with our lives. And some of that's natural because we're trying things on. That's why we listen to our elders. That's why we have an invitation, let's say, to generate a culture that honors our elders. Because if we stop having the conversation with those who came before us, who have lived many more years than us, if we stop having that conversation, friends, we have taken our lives down a path. You can feel it? That will be much more arduous than it needs to be. That in fact, a parent sitting together with that grandparent, sitting in a cafe, telling me, how is it different? How is it different? And what would it be like for you? And what would you say to your previous self? And then going, okay, here I am. I am open and receptive and willing to master that now. I am open, receptive, and willing to take that wisdom that came from years, that came from mistakes, that came from a movement that was before my time. I'm willing to listen and have that critical conversation so I can bring awakening and enlightenment, so I can demonstrate the truth that we are all one, that in fact, we're all of one mind, and maybe evolution of consciousness, and maybe awakening to the Christ. Maybe all of that isn't something that just happens in my own being as a separate self in a room that is dark and I'm meditating and I have crystals or I have chimes or whatever it is, or I'm at church on a Sunday, someone telling me what to do, whatever it is. Maybe that doesn't happen when I'm in a self-contained package. Maybe, in fact, that happens when I interact with the unity of all consciousness, when I realize that the person sitting right next to me is my awakened teacher, is my new guru, is my bodhisattva, that I recognize that those that even irk me, that those that even drive me crazy, hold the keys to my awakening, and then every moment becomes sacred. Every moment becomes extraordinary. Every moment becomes the metaphysical Bible that is not in a book with a back cover, that is alive. When we live like that, the extraordinary happens every moment. Every moment. So are we willing to take the pressure off? Are we willing to live in the moment, in a mystical, in a metaphysical way, to step into it and to trust our stepping into it? Rachel has an invitation for us. She says this, and these are questions to entertain that point us away from someone else's or society's idea of success into the moment within, into our own field of consciousness and awareness. She says, what if our self-worth wasn't based on the number on the scale, but instead on the feeling of our body as it glides through the water? That could sound simple. That could sound little. You could just read past that line. But take a journey with me. Now I'm going to be a nerd. Take a journey to like Pluto with me, all right? We have now inhabited Pluto. There's like people that went there or whatever. They're starting a whole new culture and they're really intentional. So they're like, oh, no one even knows what we used to do over there on Earth. No one has any idea. They have no idea. So I get to set it all again. And I'm going to actually put some things in there. The value of my body, the whole value of my body, how I feel about it, how successful I am, how hot it is, whatever, is all based on how I feel when it glides through the water. Can you just imagine for a second? My water bunnies are like, yeah! I can see them going, yeah! That's it! That's what my body's for! But just imagine, seriously, if in this moment we could flip a switch for everyone, and all of a sudden, like a good movie, we're writing a script here now, like a good movie, we just flip the switch, and the next day, everything, that memory of what we think about our bodies and all that, the kind of whatever that is just gone. And it is replaced by these new weird ideas like gliding through the water. Think about, one, the industry that would be lost. Think about all of the time that would be regained. Think about all of the self-worth. All of the self-worth that would be able to be held and known. I mean, really, think about your own self in your own life, and then think about every beloved that you know, and then think about all of the magazines, all of the media, everything that you've heard about that. The story we have around our bodies, based on an arbitrary allotment of success. And you know, the funny thing, right, is that, like, for the most part, we can't even see them. I mean, we have mirrors so we can see them. But, like, we really can't see our own that much. So the concept that it would be about anything other than how we feel in them, the concept that it would be about anything other than that is an illusion, right? But just think how that would change the world. She says this, what if our happiness wasn't derived by our reading level, but instead by the story within the pages of a book? What if our success wasn't based on the number of games won in a season, but instead on the memories made and the friendships created? What if our beauty wasn't determined by our resemblance to a photoshopped image, but instead by our courage to have our own personal style and unique flair? What if our wealth wasn't based on how much we have? Are you ready? What else could it be? What if our wealth was based on how much we give? What if our wealth wasn't based on how much we have, but how much we give? She gives us an invitation to define success for ourselves, to live by the heart rather than by societal pressures. So think for a moment today, what is your definition of success? When was the last time you stopped to look at it? Anyone that has a health challenge, right? I mean, I think this is like a universal thing, which is why it's good to talk to other people and not just go by your own experience, because if you don't get it, you just waste time being unhappy with the now and unhappy with what is. But anyone that's going through a health challenge automatically can tell you, like, when you get your health back, there's nothing wrong in life. Nothing wrong in your life, nothing wrong in the world, nothing wrong in politics and the government, anything, nothing is wrong. The fact that you are breathing, you have the health of your body, it is a glorious, miraculous day, and everything else is manageable. Everything else is okay. The same experience happens when someone transitions and moves through the veil and into their freedom form, no? All of a sudden, priorities, everything lines up. You realize what your value is, what your definition of success is, what your definition of feeling that this moment is okay or what it's meant to be. Luckily, we have minds and we have a spiritual practice. And we have the ability to take spiritual tools and to apply them to our lives so we can graciously, not violently, not by shutting ourselves down or not listening to ourselves, but gracefully take the pressure off and apply spiritual principles so that we can live more on purpose. in the book, she's doing a reflection on her, let's say, taking accountability, doing a clearing with her family on the old her, the her that always put pressure on the her that everyone needed to be a certain way or things needed to be a certain way in order for it to be okay, and how that pressure she put on herself inevitably, right, because we know this is truth, inevitably it leaks to everything else. Like if you are a female or a male and you have issues with your body and your body self-love, the idea that you won't pass that on to your friends, the people around you, everyone in your environment is an illusory idea. It is in the environment, right? It is in the environment. You have little kids that will notice their parents and then say, little kids say like, I need to be in smaller jeans, or I need to whatever. We inherit this stuff. And you can't look at the world around you without getting some of it, right? So we practice clearings. We practice consciously letting go. Okay, I'm not fighting with this, that it's in here. It's in here. This is what it is. This is what's going to be in the world. This is what's going to be in my family or in my life or in my relationships. Do I want to shake hands with that and make an agreement and make a deal? Do I want to do that? And we recognize then the moment before our hand does the shake and makes the agreement. And we go, actually, that's not my definition of success or value. That doesn't align with the core of my being or the soul of my soul or the song of my heart. That doesn't bring me into the presence of making ordinary moments extraordinary. That keeps me in a cage. That keeps me in limitation. So she's doing this clearing. That's a roundabout way to read this passage. She's doing this clearing, and she says this: if I could, this is what I would have told my younger self. You're going to feel a lot of pressure in your lifetime. Pressure to do things at 110% performance level. Pressure to look and act a certain way. Pressure to be all things to all people. You're going to think that the pressure is coming at you from all directions. But in most cases, it's not. That unrelenting pressure is going to come from one place: you. So do yourself a favor, dear one. Take the pressure off. Take the pressure off now. Don't wait until you're 40. In fact, don't wait another day. Don't wait another day. Take the pressure off. So in this moment, we all have a chance, as in every moment, to awaken again, to choose again. And the only thing that keeps us from that ability is our also free thinking ability to sabotage it, to undo it. But in the scripture, there is the metaphysical teaching of being born again, being born of the Spirit. That metaphysical teaching isn't necessarily right about something that we go preach to or convert people with. It is about an experience that we have in the depths of our being, where what is gone, what is old has been released, and where we recognize that the past doesn't matter, the future is not ours. But in this moment, we have all of the ability, all of the support of the universe, all of the possibility and the potential to experience and dream this moment into being. She says, maybe second chances are not given to us, but instead are something we offer to ourselves by using new words and new actions. And maybe the undesirable traits that were passed on to us and passed on to our children don't have to stick like permanent tattoos. Maybe they can be birthmarks instead. Beautiful reminders that we don't have to live perfectly, but rather with small, positive steps and daily doses of God's grace. With that, we arrive. So are you ready for your assignment for the week? a spiritual assignment to bring us into the present moment. In each of the chapters, she has hands-free life habit builders. So here's the one for this week. Take the pressure off by making today matter. Today, I hope to take a few extra seconds to kiss the top of your head before you go. Today, I hope to stand aside and let you do it yourself, even if it takes a little longer, even if it's messier, even if it's not perfect. Today, I hope to say I'm sorry and I love you because they are life-changing, comforting, and healing words. Today, I hope to laugh more than I sigh with exasperated breaths. Today, I hope to view missed shots and off-key notes as brave attempts at living rather than failures to succeed. Today, I hope to focus less on your faults and more on your freckles and sense of humor because they light up your face. Today, I hope to notice the color of your eyes when you speak to me. Today, I hope to listen to your words without judgment and impatience. Today, I hope to extend grace for accidental spills and other human mishaps. Today, I hope to give you a little extra time to walk along the edge of the curb, do your own hair, and listen to your words. Today, I hope to remember you are more than your achievements, more than your academic performance, and more than your behavior. Today, I hope to catch a glimpse of you that suddenly reminds me how much of an extraordinary miracle you are. Today, I hope you go to bed knowing life is better because of you. Today, I hope you fall asleep feeling loved right now, just as you are. Today matters. Today is all I really have for sure. Let today be a day I can look back on, whether tragedy or joy, and say today was not perfect, but it was memorable. Why? Because I encouraged, I smiled, I listened, I apologized, I waited, I cared, I tried, but above all, I loved. Oh, how I loved. I loved myself, and I loved the people in my life. Isn't that the best part of living? To love and to be loved? I think so. I will show it by making it matter today. So a mindfulness practice to the week, if you choose to take this challenge and to take it on, is to every time you greet someone this week, every person that you greet and you speak with, to notice the color of their eyes. Notice the color of their eyes. To be in the conversation and really notice the color of their eyes. And see how that practice transforms your moments. Namaste.